What is up, Soul Fam? It's Sandal from Substance Over Style. I am just trying to light my Palo Santo and the incense. How is everybody doing at the moment? It's been intense, hasn't it? We've had a lot of Schumann spikes recently. Every day, some kind of solar activity, intense solar flares or Schumann spikes, one of the two, or coronal mass ejections. So if you're feeling, I mean, everybody's going to be feeling slightly differently. Whatever is coming up for you at the moment, whatever you're processing is what you're supposed to be processing as part of your soul's journey. And it is different for everyone. So I'm not going to like do an ascension update talking about how everyone is going to be feeling, because everybody's feeling differently. So yeah, but if you're feeling like things are intense right now, it's because they are. Like, it might not be so much intense out. I mean, some of the stuff that's happening out there is intense, but for me, I'm trying not to let the outside affect me, but I'm going through my own process and initiation. So yes, Palo Santo, so nice. I love the smell of this stuff, so good. I don't use it all the time, obviously, but I felt to use it today. So we've got some of that on the go. And it's weird because I have this Palo Santo incense. Smells nothing like this. It smells nothing like the real thing. So I don't know what the fuck is in that, but I don't think it's real Palo Santo. So yeah, I just don't think it's real. I think it's something else, because it just doesn't smell the same. But you know, because Palo Santo's got a very distinctive smell. Like, you can really smell that it's Palo Santo when you're dealing with Palo Santo. But yeah. Okay, so I wanted to talk. I got a message from one of you guys. I'm going to keep her anonymous. I generally, look, I'm going to keep everybody anonymous unless you say that you want me to mention you. If you want me to shout you out, then I will shout you out. Otherwise, I'm keeping everyone anonymous. She messaged me. She didn't ask me to do a requested video, but I started getting a download around what she was talking about, as it's something that I've pondered myself, and I think it's something that we need to understand, although it is quite a taboo subject. So, you know, like with everything, just take what resonates and then discard the rest. If you don't like what I'm saying, if it triggers you, or if you just don't agree with it, then feel free to just discard it, okay? This is just my own understanding of things that I've reached at the moment. Okay, so yeah, she's thanked me for my content and answering her questions on my videos, because she's submitted questions to like some of the quick Q&As. So she goes, I just wanted to tell you something I struggle with. I really, really struggle with the ideal concept. I don't even want to accept it as a truth that we are all one, that I am other people and they are me. The things that other people do, awful and evil, nasty things, I just do not even accept that is me. I would never rape someone, you know, like, I just cannot accept that concept. I'm like, no, we are not one. I am not that. And I do put myself above people who violate others. No questions here, just sharing, and no disrespect intended to those who have come to this conclusion. I just haven't, and wonder if I ever will let myself. Yeah, no, look, your human self is not one with evil, okay? Like, for me, Sandal, I'm not an evil person. But according to quantum physics, yes, we are all one. We're literally one vibrating field of energy, and everything that we perceive as matter, i.e. different people, animals, plants, houses, clothes, everything is just that, you know, the energy vibrating at a slightly different frequency to the thing that's next to it that we discern as being a different object or a different material. Like that chair, for example, the wood is vibrating at a different frequency to the fabric, which is vibrating at a different frequency to the air. But it's all one thing. Like, it's all, and I'm one thing with it as well. Like, there actually is no separation between me and that chair. We're all part of the same field. Okay, quantum physics has proved this. Like, look into the double slit experiment. The double slit experiment will not just show you that we're all like waves in an ocean. It will also show you that there's no objective reality, because with the particles, they found that the particles it was only until there was a conscious observer looking at the particle that the particle actually behaved like a particle. Before there was anyone to observe it, it just behaved like just a wave of pure potential energy, which means that particles are not really particles, they're actually waves. And what we think of as particles are just the singularity of a wave. So, you know, if you don't understand that, then watch some documentaries on quantum physics, read The Divine Matrix by Greg Braden, and it will really help you understand this concept. We are one. I'm sorry, but like, that is just an objective truth. As uncomfortable as it is to acknowledge that, you know, you and Bill Gates are part of the same, you know, vibrating field of energy, or whoever you think is evil, Klaus Schwab, or, you know, Mother Teresa, or Tony Blair. I'm just naming some people who I know have done evil things. We actually are one vibrating field with them, but that doesn't mean that your human is that person or that you would do those things. That's not how it works, okay? Like, just because, like, okay, if you're a wave in an ocean, there might be one wave that's like crashing over there on the rock and breaking down the rock, okay? We could say maybe from a wave perspective that is causing evil against the rock because it's wearing it down and breaking it down and causing it to disintegrate. But you could be like, well, I would never do that. And it's just like, but you're not you. Like, what do you think? Like, we're like, you think that we think that we're separate points of consciousness. We're not separate points of consciousness, okay? Our consciousness is always moving from what, like, when I talk to people, I'm sharing energy with them, okay? Like, when you eat stuff, you're actually taking in stuff, and the consciousness that was part of the plants that you eat or the animals then becomes part of you. So you're like, you might think that wave is just separate and that wave is doing the evil thing, but the molecules of water that make up your wave at some point are going to be part of that wave and do that thing. That doesn't mean that your wave is ever going to do that, but the consciousness that occupies the infinite intelligence that is currently residing as you, will at some point do that thing. Okay, as uncomfortable as it might make you, that is how we are one with evil. At the same time, we're also, because everything is a hologram. Again, Greg Braden explains this in his book, The Divine Matrix, how everything is a hologram. So basically, what was the experiment that he did to prove that everything is a hologram? Like, what is a hologram? Hologram is basically like, you could take a hologram, like, let's say the hologram that you get like on the back of like a credit card. If you cut it up into tiny, tiny little pieces, you zoom in on each tiny little piece and it will contain an image of the entire whole. So that means that any particle within you, all the particles that exist in the entire universe, contain the image of the entire whole. That's how we're able to tap into the quantum field in the Akashic records and stuff like that, because it's all within us. So you can tap into any particle or the singularity of a wave that makes up you, and you can see the image of everything. Okay, so Bill Gates is inside you. Like, you do share a consciousness with him, and the way that we are one with it is by okay, how do I explain it? Okay, it's not that like when you like when people say, okay, everything is a mirror for what's inside of you, they don't literally mean that if I see Bill Gates that he's being evil, or if I see a satanic pedophile or something like that, and I see that they're being evil, that's because I'm a satanic pedophile inside. No, but I do contain the quantum story within myself of everything that's happening within the entire universe. So basically, I have incarnated on this planet and contracted and agreed and consented to experience evil. For me, as an observer, like, I've also experienced some things which were really fucked up, and yes, I contracted to have those experiences to serve my evolution and to come to certain understandings about things. That's my experience. I'm not saying what anybody else's experience is. That's the understanding that I've reached with the things that I've experienced. But like, as an observer of evil things like war crimes and satanic ritual abuse, which are things I've never experienced, but they're things that I've borne witness to, they're things that have caused me great distress, I have chosen to incarnate into this reality of duality to experience that and to bear witness to that. And we have done that for certain reasons, maybe to experience the separation from God consciousness. Okay, so basically emanations of source consciousness that basically choose to do evil have become split off, have become separate, or have chosen to believe in the illusion of separation, and then committed evil atrocities against other emanations of source consciousness. Now, whether those, you know, emanations are in some kind of contractual relationship that's consensual at a higher level, I'm not going to get into. Some people say that they are. I don't know. I'm not going to say that they are, because that's I haven't experienced that, so I'm not going to say that. I know from my experiences that I believe that they were at a higher level consensual and contractual, but I'm not going to project that onto everyone. But I know that as the observer, I have incarnated into this world to perceive that which is not of God, so that I can be reminded of what is God and what is love and what is unity consciousness and what is oneness. That thing looks so opposite to what is oneness that it reminds us of what oneness is. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're always being called back to source. And the thing that I've come to realize, and I shared this on my Instagram actually, I was going through quite a difficult time, and I shared it. Where did I share it? Let me scroll down. It's like last year sometime. So it's this post, if you can see that, from, when was it? 25th of October 2020. And I was just like pondering some dark shit. And then, okay, I came out with this. In the most expansive, sublime ecstasy, the most pure, divine, unconditional love can also be felt the deepest, darkest pain and separation. There's just the sweet spot, the tipping point. And I actually meant it from the other perspective. The tipping point where one flips to the other. You can access each through the other. That's why they say the Messiah will only come when the world is either in the most exalted state of love and unity, or in the deepest pain. Since they never believed the most sublime unity was possible, they decided to cause the most pain. So this is where, you know, a lot of people say that, like, the origins of, you know, some of these secret societies that perform blood sacrifice rituals kind of came from, because they believed that the Messiah would only come if the world was in like the most in the deepest pain. But their time is up now. It's endgame. So basically, the point that I was making there is that when you feel the furthest from God, when you feel the furthest from love, and when you're in the deepest pain of separation, that's when God is actually the closest to you. And, you know, for anybody who's been there, they'll know this, they'll have experienced this. For me, that was when I actually had my Kundalini awakening, and I've had like many awakenings and realizations every time I've gone to, and I think I haven't really gone to that many dark places since then, because I know what that feels like now. So I know that God is always with me and God is omnipresent. So I never really have felt that alone since, but definitely, like, there are moments where it gets intense on this planet. So, you know, just know that like, you know, if you're going through a really difficult time, or if you're in a place where you're just like, this is just so fucking insane. Yeah, if you're ever in a state where you feel like just like God has just abandoned you or abandoned the world, and everything is just completely insane and like just so evil, that's usually when God is the most present. I mean, in my experience, when I've like literally stared in the face of tyranny, I mean, those of you who've been following me for a while know that I went to every single one of the marches last year with everything that was going on, and yeah, like had like very intense face-offs with police who were being extremely violent to protesters and who were not defending common law and who were actually being very tyrannical. That was like, I you know, it was, what's the word, exhilarating. Like, I was not afraid. There's something that would come over me where I would just not be afraid. And I've been arrested before. Like, I've been thrown into a prison cell by police for attending a march, and like, you know, kept there all night. And, you know, I've been, you know, cross-examined by police in Cambodia at one point. They were threatening to arrest me when I went to report. Basically, like, I'd had some stuff that went missing from a tuk-tuk. I dropped some stuff in a tuk-tuk and it went missing, reported it to tourist police and got accused of making it up for, like, insurance scam, and was told, if you don't tell the truth, then we're going to arrest you, we're going to throw you in jail, I was just not afraid. Like, whenever I've been faced with, like, intense, like, tyranny, or like just someone being like insane or threatening me with violence, I've never been afraid. Like, it's weird. It's just, it's almost like I feel so close to God in those moments, and like to truth. And I just always have, I guess it's just called faith. Like, I just always have faith that I'm going to be protected, and I always have been. So yeah, like, what else? Yes, so, okay, there was one thing that I wanted to say. So, but when you understand that everything is a hologram, everybody lives within inside you, okay? We all share the subconscious mind. So when you're accessing and printing the subconscious mind, let's say, for example, you're trying to manifest something. If you're trying to manifest something, what you're doing is you're basically imprinting your subconscious mind with a certain belief system and a certain story, and then that gets pushed out. So, you know, a lot of people, they try and manifest small things like cars and houses and jobs and money. And, you know, okay, those might seem big to the people who are trying to manifest them, but you can manifest way bigger things. You can manifest, every time you manifest, you're not bringing the thing to you, okay? You're actually jumping into an alternate reality. So that's what you're always doing. And when you understand it on that level, it actually becomes way easier to do. You're actually choosing a different parallel universe through your thoughts and your beliefs and your assumptions. So you're basically tuning into the subconscious mind, which is shared with everybody. And then you're like, okay, I want to manifest XYZ. So you can manifest like world changes, like global changes, political changes, just by believing that it's possible for those things to happen. Now, obviously, things need to shift on the outside as well, and there are people doing that. But if you to make the shift internally, and you have to be able to make the shift internally to be able to make the shift externally, then what happens is you actually shift into a quantum reality, into a parallel reality in which those changes are already happening. Other people who are just reflections of you are already making those changes. I've talked about this in previous videos, how I manifested veganism going mainstream. Now, obviously, I made changes on the external by taking action and using, you know, becoming involved in activism and raising awareness, and I used this channel to kind of raise awareness about veganism. But actually, it was more, that was more just for me to retrain my subconscious mind, because as I started to do that, I noticed that loads of other people were doing that as well. It's almost like I shifted realities into a world where loads of people started doing that, and we all made the shift together. And then also, it was around the time that I was living in India, and I was just horrified by the caste system. I was horrified by the racism. I also went to Bali. I thought it was ridiculously colonialist, and that's when I had like this kind of racial awakening where I was just like, oh my God, we're still fucking living under white supremacy. This was like, when was this? This was like 7 years ago. So if you look back at some videos that I made on my channel, this was before the first Black Lives Matter. And I was just like, as soon as I realized that, I was just like, this is just not okay. And I was just like, we need to fucking change this. And yes, I started making changes externally and like raising awareness, talking about it on social media. But I think it's the shift that you make internally, because I wouldn't have been able to make Black Lives Matter happen externally just from posting stuff on Facebook. I mean, maybe I would have, because things I was sharing were getting shared, and other people were sharing things, and I was meeting people. But it was more like you do a parallel shift into a reality in which that starts to unfold. So this is now what's happening with the shift to New Earth, okay? Because there have been loads of timeline. Right now we're going through massive timeline shifts. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but you might notice like little glitches in the matrix. Like I'll be watching videos on YouTube, and suddenly it'll glitch and it will start playing the same thing that it just played, like, you know, again, and I won't have touched it or anything, and then I'll go back and listen to it to see if it was actually like edited weirdly to make this thing play twice, and it wasn't. It's literally just a glitch in the matrix. Or like objects would go missing, like you put an object there and then it's not there, and then you can't find it anywhere, and then you come back like after a certain amount of time and it's there again. Or for me, I never find it again. I mean, I know you could say that it's just me losing stuff, but literally I've put stuff down and then just never found it again, and it's like in my room, like and I've like turned the room like upside down and never found it again. It's just gone. So those are like glitches in the matrix, or like Mandela effects, or people not remembering stuff. So you know, you can shift realities all the time. So whatever it is that you want to change, if you want, basically we have contracted to experience evil in this realm. Okay, we chose to be here. This is the third dimension. It's very close to, you know, the source, the Godhead. Some, you know, my teacher Emily says that that's like 13, 14D, or like 12 to 14D is where the Godhead is. So if you think about the third dimension, that's like super like far away. It's like almost at the nothing. And what is the nothing? The nothing is this inverted consciousness that is the opposite of God, also known as Satan. So we're kind of in Satan's realm at the moment. All the religious texts and ancient texts will talk about this. So we're here to experience that and to bring God into this reality, to remind ourselves, the other reflections of ourselves, who we are and how we're co-creating this reality. So when you see something evil, know that it doesn't have power over you unless you allow it to, because it's never going to be more powerful than God. So you can actually dissolve evil, not just by acting externally, but also by acting internally, because we're all connected. There's this really powerful practice that you can do. It's a prayer or a mantra. It's called Ho'oponopono. It's an ancient Hawaiian prayer that basically works with this idea that we're all connected at the deepest level, and we're all one consciousness, and that we're all creating each other through our beliefs about each other. So it's just, when you see something unfavorable that you don't like, it can be anything, but like you know, you can use it for like any kind of like war crimes or anything that you don't like. You just say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And then you can just repeat that over and over again. And you can use it to dissolve anything that you've created in your reality that's unfavorable. But, you know, just even on a philosophical level, like, yes, we do all feed into evil, okay? Because it's very difficult not to in this reality, okay? Like our clothes, most of our clothes are made by slave labor or indentured servitude. It's very difficult to get around that. I've tried, believe me, I made loads of videos trying to kind of get out of this whole, you know, indentured servitude system of like how our clothes are made, and spent a lot of time researching it. We can improve upon it, but to break out of it completely is very difficult without, we've got to change the financial system, because on certain levels, like, we're basically all house slaves and field slaves. That's the way the system operates. So that is changing now, and it's slowly, like, gradually changing. It changes as we can accept in our subconscious mind that it's gonna change, so it will change. Okay, every time we eat animals, we're participating in evil. Even, like, you know, from a Jain perspective, even me as a vegan would say that, you know, they could easily say that, you know, I'm participating in evil because I eat root vegetables, so I'm therefore killing like the potatoes and stuff. You can't say that about the fruit though. If I was just a fruitarian, or I just ate salad and fruit, you can't say that, because that actually propagates more life, and you're not actually killing anything when you eat like that. So I will just say that. But yes, so I hope that answers your question. I did post a Q&A on the Instagram just as I was heading out to the gym this morning, but I've not had enough good questions on there to answer anything right now. So I will save them for next week's video, and I will love you and leave you guys. If you want to book a session with me, prices, my rates are in the description box below. DM me on Instagram if you want to book in, and if you want to join my course, Reclaim Your Crown, which purges distortions from your body, and it helps you align with a higher timeline. It helps you just basically clear trauma from the body, so that you can rewire your system to tell yourself a new story. So yes, the information for that is in the description box below as well. So I'ma love you and leave you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Mwah.